Well, good afternoon, everybody. Some of you might know me or might have seen me about. Most of you probably haven't. That's all right. So over the last few months, I've been involved in some of these demonstrations and protests dotted around Yorkshire to do with this issue of migrant hotels and things like RAF Scampton being turned into asylum centres. So this issue is just part of a wider issue. It's not just something that happens here, and I'm not going to stand here and say that religion is the issue. What I'm going to say is that what this is, in context, is something far more serious and far more damaging, and something that's been happening for a far longer time. Because in this country, what's becoming increasingly clear to me is that actual British people are being pushed to the sidelines and being ignored and suppressed. And the people responsible for it are not necessarily a religion. The people responsible for it is the enemy within, and it's a political enemy. It's an organised political enemy. It's criminals that live in Westminster, and these are the people who, as they're filling their pockets with money, and as they're filling their homes with everybody else's belongings as plunder, they're the people who leave actual communities destroyed.
Absolutely.
When they bulldoze their way through life. And this is the context that I would say this issue is in. Because Earlsheaton is not just the first place that's going to run into this problem, and it won't be the last either. This has happened in any number of cities, in any number of neighbourhoods, in any number of constituencies. And time again, the response from the parasites in power is to cover it up until the problem is so bad that nothing can be done about it. What it is the organised destruction of a nation of people. Now, I'm not going to stand here and say that just by us being here, we can make this problem go away, because the world doesn't work like that, and I think everybody here knows it. But what can we get from today? What we can get is we can see who is actually brave enough to mobilise themselves for their own people, and who is actually brave enough to speak out and to be counted when nobody else will. Because ultimately there's not going to be some divine intervention that's going to save this country or going to fix these problems or make these enemies go away. We're going to have to do it ourselves. Now, over the next few months, in West Yorkshire, outside of West Yorkshire, there's various events going on. Next weekend, there's a rally in Lincoln surrounding the fact that RAF Scampton is being converted into an asylum centre. The weekend after that, there's a rally in Skegness, because that issue still hasn't been resolved. Week after that, there's an event in Walsall. In June, on the 3rd of June, there is a big rally in the centre of Leeds. And the reason that we're doing that, we're not just protesting and demonstrating for its own sake. What we're trying to do is actually build an effective opposition to this bulldozer in government that is ram-raiding through every single town, every single community, and every single group of people that lives in this country. It pillages everything and it leaves nothing behind. And I know some people will say, well, it's this party or it's that party. But what it is all of these people, whilst they create this illusion of opposition secretly, and when they think nobody is looking, they conspire and they collude and they work together to create this illusion of choice, while all the while they just plot and plot and plot further annihilation of this nation and its people.
Yeah.
To them, people's worth is money.
Yeah.
They have no concern for land or communities. All they care about is what they can get from everybody's pockets, and all they can care about is plunder. So what we need to do is to not just protest and demonstrate for its own sake. The solution is that we have to find within ourselves the ability to actually make the change we want. We have to start organising ourselves. We have to start looking out for each other in the way that other communities already do. We have to say, as a community, that British people will not be abused as they have for so many years in the past. Now, I know people might think that the situation is hopeless, that there's nothing anybody can do, that things are too far gone. But what these people don't understand is that British people are not dirt. Because if you look in history at what this nation has accomplished, it's the exact opposite. This nation and its people, with nothing but themselves to rely on, were able to build a great empire and were able to build a nation of peace and prosperity. And it was a road paved with hardship and a road paved with sacrifice. But our people still have within them that strength. They've only forgotten. They've forgotten because of years and decades of constant demoralisation from Labour, from the Tories, from the Liberal Democrats, from all these little insects that have nothing to give but plenty to take. So when you leave here today, if you think of nothing else, remember that there are people that actually do care. And remember, and you can even see it, because you can look to the left of you and you can look to the right of you now and you can see that you are not the only ones that have this problem. And you are not the only ones that care. It's an illusion that people are alone. And this prison of demoralisation and despair, it's a prison of the mind. When I was in the army, one of the hardest things it is to realise that you actually can make your will known. People learn, and I've seen people who at face value might have nothing to give or might look like they have nothing to give. But I've seen those people accomplish incredible things through nothing other than the belief in themselves and the camaraderie they have with other people. You can build the communities you want. You can get the change you want. But you're never going to be able to do it if you fight as individuals. Because when you do, this bulldozer just crushes everybody, one, then the next, then the next, and the next. It will crush Earlsheaton, then it will crush the next town, and the next town, and the next town, and the next town. Because people who fight as individuals are easy to crush. Now, for some people here, this might appeal to you, because me and some others are currently building an organisation. And we're building it in West Yorkshire to begin with. And what we're calling it is the National Support Detachment. And what we want to do is to provide a solution for this relentless suppression that people face, whether it's from the hard left or from the establishment, is to resist this relentless suppression that people face. Because ultimately, through organisation, through unity and through cohesion, it's the only thing that's going to enable us to make change. So I do have some leaflets for it. Some of you it might appeal to, others it might not. But I'll hand them out, and if that's something that you think you can help with, because there's other things coming up, and there is a way of taking the support we've got, and I know you might think it's not much, but if we can take what we've got and work it as one unified mass, you will be amazed what it can accomplish. And over the past few months, I've seen it with my own eyes, what it can be accomplished. I saw it in Hull, I saw it in Seacroft, I saw it in Skegness. Change can happen, and it's hard, but it's more difficult to do nothing. Well, thank you for everyone who's listened. I don't know whether there's anybody who lives locally who'd want to say a few words. But if there is, then by all means, please come forward.